Hi everyone, let's do some sculpting today. So I'm Daisuke from Maxon, and I've been making some a experimental model for some sci-fi looking spacesuit, and like I roughly made the designs in 2 of the streams. Hey, welcome. And I'll be thinking about posing on this stream. Oh, it's gonna be really simple because in actual like spacesuit, you don't have the opportunity to move around really freely compared to like it's more rigid basically, because you have a lot of layers and cloths, and you have a lot of like equipment that's gonna hit your elbows and stuff, so you don't really have much posing options compared to actual like character posing. But well, let's see what we can do with it. I think we can do some thumbs up and like holding on to joysticks and stuff. So I do have a reference here, and this is exactly what I was like looking for. Like for example, thumbs up to the camera. And currently I did have a female body in this original mesh, but I've eliminated that because it'll be easier to move around without the inside. So that was the decision I made. And currently the XYZ scale is really off, I guess. Well, not too much, but yeah. So I'm gonna scale this down to XYZ size 2, where I can use this scale to control the entire mesh. And before I do the posing, I'm gonna look for a really high dense mesh, or like checking to see if there's some problematic mesh that I need to deal with first. So for example, I'm clicking around to see if there's no like dynamesh mesh. It looks fine. Okay, so I'm gonna use the save first. So I'm gonna save this as spacesuit 3. And then after the save is done, I'm gonna use the transpose master to use transpose mesh, T-pose mesh. Hey, what's up? Okay, so here's the transposed mesh. So I'm gonna use this as a mesh that I'm gonna use for posing. So for example, I can mask around this using the mask lasso and masking around the elbows. And if I position it correctly, I can move around the character like this. So usually, first of all, I would polygroup the areas where I want the model to like be able to like isolate. So usually what I would do is then I would select some areas like this, which is a backpack, and group it around so it's in a single mesh. And this is not going to affect the original mesh itself, so usually it's handy for me to like polygroup this temporary. Do you teach somewhere on an online academy, or do you do private classes? No. The only things I do is pretty much free, so you can watch me teach things on ZBrush Live, or I explain things in Japanese in the Pixologic JP channel. And I do upload videos related to ZBrush in my personal channel as well, so that's free as well. Okay, so I think I should polygroup this as well into the body part. Yeah, looks fine. Okay, so I've polygrouped this so it's easier to like move around. And if I want to like select the elbows, I can just use the lasso tool like this, and then position it so I can rotate this around. But like you can see that because I have the entire mesh visible, so this is going to be a problem. So what I would like to do is, first of all, like just select the areas first, like a mask. And then usually you don't want to like have this, like for example, if you have your mesh isolated and like you select the mesh like this, you don't want to do this, because like if you have your entire mesh visible, this area is not masked, but this area is. Well, this area is. So if you want to flip it, it's gonna like do the arm is gonna be like your like primary area you want to move, and like the rest of the mesh should be static, right? So usually what I would do is I isolate this area, select it first, and then flip the area. No, don't flip the area, and then like show the entire mesh, and then flip the area. So you have the rest of the mesh masked, and it's easy to move around like this. So when you get used to this, you can just mask the area, view it, and then isolate. No, flip the mask. Oh, sorry, my English is going haywire. But you can see, like you can see how quickly I can just mask around and pose. And I want this mesh or the model to be like floating in space, at least. And I want this finger to be thumbs up. So I'm gonna move this around like this. You're gonna like use move brush and snake hook anyways, so I would just like roughly get the shape done and then deal with deformations later on. Also, if you're working on fingers, it's usually best to like polygroup this area as well. But for this example, like it's really easy to just like move around, so I'm not gonna bother doing that. Right now I'm trying to sculpt ginkgo from Mushishi, but I'm kind of lost with the forms. I do think Mushishi is a bit of a hard one to like tackle in the first like sculpt you're going to do. But I don't really have a specific character in mind where I think it's the easiest as well. I don't know. Hey, welcome. Oh, thanks. I've been a bit busy during the weekends, and like I would like to do more sculpting often, daily. Suffering a lot with ZBrush and Dynamesh and T-pose. Yeah, it's a bit tricky until you get the like hang of things, but like it usually just comes down to like edge loops. And what you want to make at the end. Hey, good morning. There might be some people who notice there's no like birds tweeting on the backgrounds when you watch the last stream. There was a constant like bird tweeting outside my window, but like the birds who was making the nest has just flown away, so there's no birds tweeting now. Where's Amos? I do want the hands to be a bit more twisted. Oh, forgot this area. Is there some academy that teaches in English? I'm sure there's no academy in Spanish. Well, I don't think there is any like 3D classes that you would get education in English because there's not much like benefit or the demand for that kind of stuff in Japan because like you have less people speaking English and then you have more less people who are like willing to study 3D in Japan and would like to speak English. So what I would recommend is get a better education in like US or like for example Gnomon School, which teaches like the top like world class 3D, and then go to Japan for like using that skill. So that makes more sense. But like there is like students who come to Japan and they try to like learn things in Japanese, like for example game schools, well game classes or like those kind of industry specific schools teaches those kind of like technical stuff, but usually their like education level is a bit lackluster. Is not really enough to get into the industry. So you need to do some like extra like learning or extra like classes or your personal like things. But I do think that's like not just Japan, like every single country that has those kind of artistic or art related like classes wouldn't like require you to have your personal like hours spent towards more art creations. But like I do think the Japanese education is really lacking when it comes to like educating some like more technical things. Like they usually spend more time on like learning Maya and not enough time to actually do some extra things other than Maya, which is usually what makes you hireable as well. could we move or rotate all subtools in a folder as one piece? Yeah. Like for example, I'm using the transpose master, but like if you use the folders, and then if you want to like rotate the folders, you can use the transpose set action in the folder menu. I'm gonna show that like after I did the pose, so just bear with me. How's your YouTube channel? What do you mean, how's your YouTube channel? It's going well, yes. Because I'm working or something and it affected the very first tool in the folder. Like you're gonna need to, you usually would like, you would need to like select the Control Shift, and then if you have some hash lines, it's like showing what your what your mesh selection is. Oh, so if you search, I'm gonna link my YouTube channel then. Here's my personal channel, which is in Japanese. And then if you are looking for a English version, which doesn't really cover the entire thing, but wait, what was it? Which I made some like anime head tutorials, which is this one. I haven't been like updating since like 2 or 3 years. Oh, it's been 3 years. Oh, damn! I need to like do some videos. Currently the posing is not really interesting because you can see it's like just straight, right? And usually what you want to do is like add some like variations or add some like curve to it. So usually what you would do is like have some twisting on the torso. So I'm gonna like select the upper torso like this, and have the bottom portion masked, and I'm gonna like rotate the mesh like this. And then move the head slightly. Like this. But I don't think, like, in actual like spacesuit, you're gonna move the entire head, or you be able to like twist it really like sharp, or you can't really twist it like in a wide angle. I saw some artists posing the model, and rigging in the spheres was super simple. Yeah, you can do rigging in Z-spheres. Like, if you press the Z-sphere rig option in Transpose Master, you're gonna be able to like make this Z-spheres like be able to rig your mesh. But in some cases, like for example, if you have a backpack really close to your like body or the head, it's gonna like affect that area as well. So it's really hard for a like fine-tuned like control over your mesh. So in this case, it's better to just mask and move. I guess why not like move around the mesh so it looks more anti-gravity. And I do think there's more like twisting happening when a person is like floating around in space, because he or she would like to like have more control over the posing, but they're not able to do that. So there's more twisting, there's more like moving around. So currently the upper portion is looking a bit stable, so I'm gonna add more twisting as well on that side. Don't need this area to be moving around. So I think I could just move this head around slightly, like this, so it looks more like looking at the camera. I guess we can just move it around slightly more, like this. Yeah, looking fine. Cheerful looking fella. Okay, so I'm gonna like apply this to a T-pose subtool. So the entire mesh is moved. And like, for example, if you have the entire backpack selected, I'm gonna show the like selecting the subtool. So if you enable this multi subtool option, what you're gonna do is you're gonna press Control and Shift and drag, and now you're gonna see this kind of like hashing on the mesh. And when you have this area of like hashing, it means that this area is not selected. So if you move around using the gizmo like this, you're gonna only have the backpack moving around. So in order to use this with folders, you're gonna like create a new folder. And for example, if you want to have this like entire backpack into like single subtool, you can do that by like using this selection of subtools. And then if you're creating a new subtool, it automatically like the folder is smart enough to think that, oh, you're selecting the entire subtool, so you can add it to a single folder. So it says several of the visible subtool is currently activated for multi-transpose. Would you like to create a new folder of containing these subtools? So you say yes, why not, and backpack. And then you're able to like currently the selection is like reset. And now if you press the gear icon and then press transpose set, now you're able to like move the backpack freely. And then if you have like, for example, another area which is like the let's say the main body part would be another subtool or another folder. Just select the area and then create a new subtool. Oh no, you're gonna add a new folder. Sorry. Body. Yeah, just say yes. Body, and then you have two folders, which is one is backpack and one is the body, and you can switch between the two by pressing the transpose set, and you're gonna be able to like switch between the backpack and the body. So you can just like move this like mesh around using this method. So like, for example, backpack is like moving around, and if you want to move the body, you can just use the transpose set, and then you can just move the body. And if you have like, because currently I just posed and then it still has the like symmetry enabled, it was causing this effect. But if you don't have the like, if you just disable the symmetry, you're not going to have that effect. Okay, so the posing is done, and I'm gonna just fix the deformations by like using the all high button. So because I've moved from I've used the transpose master, the subdivisions are like moving around with the lower subdivision levels. So I just moved back to the higher subdivision levels to see how much is deformed. So if you have a huge deformations, if you have some like areas which you need to refine, you can just move up to the subtool and then tweak that specific like subdivision levels. For example, like if you move the thumb around, you have this area where the entire like back of your finger is like moving around. So I'm gonna like have this area a bit more visible. Also, if you have a really thick glove, it's gonna like have this like fingers be harder to distinguish between the two, or the individual fingers. It's gonna have a less space or gaps in between. How many RAM your machine is running? 64? I think it was 64. Let me see. No, it's 32. I thought it was 64. It's 32. I'm gonna use the dam standard to like start sculpting some like really microfolds. Like you can see on this photograph that you see those kind of like small like horizontal lines that is happening. Like it's because it has more space and it needs to like not create those kind of like gaps in between the underneath and the top layer. Four gigabyte of RAM. It's better to have more, by the way. Like the operating system is like using up like 4 to 8 by default, and like if you start adding like Google Chrome for like reference images, it's gonna eat up your like RAM really quickly. So the minimum I would recommend is 16, and I think that's the minimum that I would recommend. I'm just gonna roughly like sculpt the entire mesh, so you get the idea of like what I'm doing right now. So I'm adding like areas where it has like triangles, so it has those kind of like folds and creases. Oh, sorry. I have 32 RAM and 0 talent and 0 discipline. Me too. What is ZBrush Mini? Free version? Yes, it's a free version of ZBrush. It's a free version of ZBrush, but a bit of a limitation on what you can do. It's really for like really casual like sculpting when you're like when you want to like see what you can do with like sculpting. So in Japan, like there's schools where instructors would teach ZBrush Core Mini to kids, and because it's free, like the kids would like to like do some like doodling on the sculpt. Is it possible to paint textures in a core version? For textures, no. You need to like you're only able to use the poly paint to paint. Which render software do you use mostly? For me, it was Keyshot and ZBrush renders. I'm in love with your tablet, drawing tablet. Oh, this one? Oh. I love it too. The Cintiq 24, I think it was Pro, yeah. I think I do need to like spend more time like just sculpting these kind of folds. And not relying too much on just like using smoothing brushes. Like it's my like habit to just like draw once and then like use the smooth brush, so I need to force myself to use more like without the smooth brush. I can just like limit the smooth brush to 0 intensity and like force myself to just use the brush, because it's gonna have a bit of a sharper effect, sharper result on the mesh, so it looks more realistic. What cheap or free program I can use for texture and painting 3D things? No, I'm not gonna like I'm not a specialist in that field. Like I'm good at like talking about sculpting, but I'm not really good at talking about textures. How many poly are the high res so far? 7.3 million, I guess. it's using dynamic subdivisions, so it's not really an actual geometry yet. So some area looks high res, but it's not really high res. Short question this time. Move topo. How do I alter its gravity radius? I'm trying to pose lips, and it's still pulling both sides, and tried setting range to 1. Not sure what that's what to do. So for example, if you have a mesh, and then if you have a close geometry, like this is like really close to each other, right? But like if you're using a move brush, it's gonna affect the opposite side. No, without the backface masking. If you're using this kind of stuff, it's gonna affect the other side of the mesh because your brush radius is pretty much big. And you're saying that you're using a range 1, and now it's still like affecting the other side. In that case, your mesh is too tiny, so it's better to like scale up your mesh using the subtool master and the scale master, and using the Z scale unify, ZBrush scale unify. So you have a bigger mesh which is suitable for like mesh editing inside ZBrush. And another thing you can do is use the move topological brush, which will detect the areas which you don't really have the mesh connected to each other. So for example, in this example, you have fingers, and you have 1 finger and 2 fingers, and if your starting point is like finger A, it's gonna only affect the finger A, like this. So you can see it's not moving or affecting the other side. So what's the move topological mean? You go to the auto masking and then see the results here. It says topological. So if you disable this, it's just an ordinary move brush. But if you enable this, it's a smart brush that detects topology. So still pulls both lips. So if you're using the move topological and then it's like still moving the both lips, your mesh is really tiny, or the mesh itself is like connected, or you can also use the other option, like for example, if you have the upper lip in a different like polygroup, and then like using the mask, mouse square polygroups, and then just moving around the blue area. And you can do something like this as well. The vertex, like I'm moving the vertex, so if it's like connected to the vertex, it does have some like change in some areas, but usually it's only gonna affect the areas which has the same polygroup. So you can use this as well. So select the area, make the upper lip in a different polygroup, the lower lip in a like the different polygroup, and then move it around using the mouse square polygroups and set it to 100. Or you can use the mask brush as well. So there's multiple options. Hola, hey, welcome. I'm just like gonna like sculpt folds forever because like the entire like mesh or the entire like the design itself is like just folds and the creases. I don't know what kind of like alpha would fit this model nicely. I need to think about it. Ouch. Ooh. Also, there's like brushes that the alphas that you could use for like round shapes, like round folds, which is alpha 01, which will like create some like roundness to the fold itself. So if you're looking for some kind of like roundness to the folds, you can use this with a bigger brush size, and you can just like add it to the top of the lip. And then if you like reverse it, like it's gonna have this kind of like a small like round crease onto the mesh. So I think I need to start sculpting something like straps and other like hard equipments. Currently it's just like folds, folds, but I would like to do something else as well, so I'm gonna like tweak it slightly and add areas, or think about areas where I can add things for more good effect. So I do think I would like to add some straps. Well, let's think about areas. Related to anime character sculpting, well, usually I would recommend Sakaki Kaoru, which is a ZBrush live streamer who is doing things in Japanese, but he's really good at figurines. This class is made in ZBrush, or you made using Marvelous Designer. So if you look at my past streams, I'm just using ZBrush. So this is purely ZBrush. So you can just look at the past streams, what like the archives, and see what's up. I would like to add folds as well, but I think I should like switch to a bit more for straps and additional items. So, oh, thanks. I think that was Ian or someone. Thanks. Is it Paul or Kyle or Ian? Oh, I see. Yeah. Thought so. Okay, so I'm gonna add some cylinders to make a base for the straps. Just gonna delete this. Don't need this. And I don't need the areas like this. And I'm gonna use this as a mesh, a base mesh. So when I look at this image, I can see a band of like straps on the area which is connected in the backpack. Let's say we just add things here like this. Boom. And I just need to add a bit of thickness using this, dynamic subdivisions, and I just need it to have this on the opposite side as well, so I'm just going to duplicate and manually rotate to have it on the opposite side. And now I'm gonna tie a strap to this, and I think I'm just gonna add some mesh that I can use for bend curves. So I'm gonna select a plane 3D. I'm just gonna select the area like this, and then just use this area. So I'm gonna remove the crease because this has crease on top of it, which I don't really need. Well, I can apply it later on, but not for now. And then I'll just set this so it has enough space. Like this. And I'm going to duplicate this so I have this before I start editing things on the opposite side as well, like so. And I'm going to use the bend curve here. Gonna twist this slightly. Oh, this one, yeah. And I'm gonna bend it like this. And I need more sharper transition, and then I'm just gonna tweak the level of resolution. And if it's hard to see, you can also use the dynamic subdivisions with the thickness on. And then tweak this slightly like this. And then if you really want a sharp transition, you can just move the dots really closely to each other, but not like hitting it too significantly. But now you have a sharper transition around the area like this. But I guess this is fine enough. So I'm just going to use the same setting, like I just need to put it in a clear value, like 0.003, 0.003. And use the same setting, 0.003. And then use the same thing, bend curve. Start with a lower resolution and then move it around. Yeah, something like this, but I guess a bit more slightly dramatic transition would be nice. Yeah, something like this. Hey, good night. So now I would like to use this area and have a cylinder to wrap around that like cylinder. So it looks like a knot. I could just like sculpt the knot. And have this on the opposite side as well. Ooh, maybe too small. Yep, on this side as well. Yeah, something like this. And if I need to have some strap on the end, I could just use that, use the modeler brush. Well, before I do that, I just need to set the dynamic subdivision to actually apply on the mesh. And then I could select the area, set it as the same polygroup, and then just push like this. And now I have some kind of like a strap. Like so. And let's see what I can add to this as well. So looking at the image, there is some kind of a like a control over here, and there's a lot of like tool sets that is like wrapping things on top to like this is the base shape, and now if you're working outside you have a belt of like tools that like wrapping around your like body. You can see there's like harnesses, or you can see those kind of like wires which is like wrapping around the body. But it really depends like on the photo. Like I see a lot of like differences between the photos, but it's really hard to say which is the correct one because I'm not an expert. But looking at the image, there's some like fan shaped like handle which you can tweak, I guess. Yeah, it says like temperature control, like oxygen control, and other things. Display and control module. So I do need to like make some kind of a temperature control, kind of like a control or handle. So I'm going to use some kind of a shape. Wait, I don't need to actually make something from this kind of shape. Right? Okay. So I'm gonna use a cube, initialize cube, then move it to the bottom, and then scale it. Wait, Okay, then I'm gonna scale it and then rotate so it has that 120-degree rotation. So I'm gonna rotate, repeat 3, and in 360 degrees. And since this is not fixed, so I'm gonna lock position and move this like this, and confirm the, oh, I don't need to extrude, confirm the position, and then just move it around slightly like this. And then I'm just gonna bridge between these 3 areas. So I'm gonna use the modeler brush, Q mesh, and bridge between each mesh. So I'm gonna delete these, and connect bridge 2 holes, and doing the same on this side. I just need to disable the allow click to solo, so I don't accidentally like solo. And then I could just remove these, delete. Oh. Delete. And then I just connect the dots by using the stitch. And I just need to stitch in the medium point. Okay. Okay. So now I have this, I can just group this into one mesh and then just select one side. Another side, and then just crease. And then now, since I have the crease, I can just use the crease to the benefit. I just add bevel, and using the control key with the bevel width slide, I can just like have this kind of like ridge on the corners. And then I can just remove the crease all. Oh no, uncrease all and then crease. Uncrease all and polygroups, I guess. Yeah, this should be nice. Okay, so this is what I have. And now I need to have a cylinder which would contain this shape. Like this. With crease. And now I just need to combine this into one subtool and then just like place it onto the mesh. Hello, welcome. So a dial and another cloth thing. There's a lot of like cloths that I'm not really sure what it does, but like you have a cylinder on top of this as well. Are you using a space mouse? Oh, that's a good question. No. I should be using a space mouse for this one because it should be like whizzing around in space. But no. Allow to click to solo, just extracting, no, extruding, extrude, and scale. And no need for crease, increase all, crease. And controlling the crease. Stroke complete. Yep. This is a giant knob, so don't need a huge knob this big. Guess it's this size. Increase all, extrude, scale, and polygroup. It has this kind of like weird wrapping around it, so I'm gonna like try to duplicate that by using the cloth features. So I'm gonna duplicate and then use the original mesh as a collision volume, and then dynamics inflate 0.005. And then I'm gonna use the zero measure because it's really low poly. Zero measure, and then using inflate without gravity. Let's see. So I have this kind of like stuff, and because it doesn't have any like wrinkles, I'm gonna use the expand instead. And then expand, inflate, expand, deflate. It does add some like interesting taste to it, but maybe this should be fine. Yeah, it looks like a shrinked up like plastic you can see on like some cheese wrapping. So in order to make it look like this, I'm gonna add a bit more smoothing because I don't really need the actual like smooth like the actual wrinkles. So I'm gonna go to a lower subdivision and smooth it out, and then use that as my mesh. Something like this, I guess. Yeah, it looks fine. And then now I can add some vertical lines, because like if you look at it, there's some kind of like fibers which is like going vertically, so I'm not sure what that is, but I'm gonna look for more references. Oh, it's a velcro. Okay. So I'm gonna add some velcros then. I know some people in Japan like hate velcros because it's make that awful noise when you take it off, but like usually in the military, like you use velcros anyways, so also in the like space industry there's a lot of like velcros in the uniform. Okay, so there is some kind of like velcro looking thing. Among Us. Might be, yeah, he might be dead. In a tense battlefield where stealth is a must, you can muffle the sound of Velcro by screaming. Yeah, you usually don't take things off during the battlefield. Oh, I just need to switch this to a gizmo. Let's see, gizmo, polycube, and then size this to something that would resemble a patch. Yeah, looks fine. And there's additional like knobs at the bottom where I guess there's some kind of like handles. And also there's some kind of like squares, which I don't know what it does, but like it looks more like a thing that you put like attach or some like fixing points, like what do you call those? Anchor points. Where they exist around here. Like when you look at the image, it has some kind of like a hard point, anchor point here. So by looking at this and like duplicating and trying to add things like a cylinder to it. Rotation. Here. Merge down, duplicate. Crease. Oh. Crease. Yeah, something like this. Fill object. This is a jetpack thingy. Is it? Is it a thruster? Yo, that looks sick. Oh, thanks. Looks nice, yeah. Yeah, some of the items I don't know what it does. But yeah, it's better to add something that looks like it or looks functional. Display and control module. So there's some kind of like display you can see from the top, I guess. So I'm gonna change this cube slightly so I could just move around like this and make this as some kind of like a display or a control panel. I'll just paint this black then, black. And I'm gonna just paint the patch black as well, so I can just like make something afterwards. Sorry. I'm feeling so gassy today. Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing for this square as well. So I have some kind of like cloth wrapping to it. So duplicate. I'm just gonna view this too, and I'm gonna remesh this and use this as a collision volume. Oh. Collision volume. Oh, did I solo? No. And expand and inflate slightly. Oh, maybe deflate slightly? Deflate, expand. I guess it works. NASA are lying. Okay. Good for you. With his slant. Sorry. Yeah. I usually just sculpt like these kind of like folds by manually by using some standard brush. So I'm kind of like used to this, but like some people don't really have the patience to actually do so. So the deformation brush or the deformation. No, the dynamic brush or the cloth brushes are really handy for those kind of effects if you're looking for something similar. But usually hand sculpting would get some sharper results and the folds you're looking for. Clothing is so painful. Depends. Yeah, depends on your confidence. Ooh, too thick. Let me think about this. Maybe a layer brush would be nice. Oh no, /2 would be nice, I guess. /2. /2 brush is inside the slash brush. Don't need this strength. And I don't need RGBs. A 3D mesh with subdivision history may be partially modified only while the load subdivision is active. Oh. Oh, sorry. I was using divide with the masking on, so it was giving me an error. So I want some kind of like a creasing happening on the mesh. So I'm gonna like use the /2 brush to get those kind of like small layers of like folds to it. Okay, I'm gonna end my stream here because I've run over the time. If you have any questions, just let me know now. If there isn't, I'm gonna end my stream and see you guys next week. Okay, bye.
Bye.
See ya.